Okay, these are some more problems from section 4.5. This is number 5, and we wanted to find a tangent line, and f of x was equal to the tangent of x. All right, f of x was the tangent of x. And we wanted to find the L of x, linearization of x at x equals pi. And then we wanted to find actually the approximation for pi plus 0.1. And then we wanted to find the error. Okay, so first of all, remember my function is f of x equals the tangent of x. All right, f of x equals the tangent of x. So first of all, my point is going to be at x equals pi. That's going to be my point of tangency. And if I put pi in here, what's the tangent of pi? Well, the tangent of pi is 0. So my point is going to be pi 0. Now the derivative of the tangent is the secant squared, or the secant squared like this. We want to evaluate that at pi to get the slope at pi. So f prime at pi, which is the secant of pi squared. The secant is 1 over the cosine. The cosine of pi is negative 1. So I've got 1 over negative 1 squared, which is just negative 1 squared, which is 1. So that's the slope of my tangent line at this point of tangency for this function f of x equals tangent of x. So this is the tangent line at the point pi 0, y minus 0. Remember, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right? And then this just becomes y, so it's just 1 times x and 1 times negative pi, so y equals x minus pi. So that's my L of x, that's my linearization. Then we want you to evaluate that at 0.1, so this will be pretty easy. L of pi plus 0.1 is just x's pi plus 0.1 minus pi. The pi is 0 out, so I just have 0.1. So that was my approximation, 0.1. Then they want you to find the error. So remember, the error is f of x minus L of x. So that's this tangent that I could calculate in my calculator. Okay, minus 0.1, that was the value I got. So I put this in the calculator, and this is what I got out to a lot of places. Minus 0.1 is about 3.47. I rounded this off. Times 10 to the negative 4. And I could write this as 3.347. 3.347 over 10 to the 10 to the fourth. This is less than 10. So one of these cancels, so it becomes 1 over 10 to the third or 10 to the minus 3. So the error is less than 10 to the minus 3. So not too bad. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. If it went fast, go back and you can kind of review it. And I don't think it was too difficult. Okay, and then number 6 on 4.5, my function was f of x equals inverse cosine of x, or arc cosine of x. And we want to find L of x, in this case at x equals 0. They gave you the value there. And then we want to find the linearization at 0 plus 0.1 and the error. So first of all, at 0, if I put 0 in here, my function to get my other point, this is my point of tangency. Point x equals 0, f of 0. Okay, that's the angle whose cosine is 0. And what angle has a cosine of 0? Well, that's pi over 2. Okay, if we look at the cosine, it goes up here, it starts at 1. And then the pi over 2, that's when the value is 0. So that's the angle has a cosine of 0, pi over 2. And that has to be within that range of it has to be in the domain of the inverse cosine. So it's from 0 to pi. Okay. So pi over 2 fits in there. And then we have to take the derivative of this one. So remember, the derivative of the arc cosine is negative 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. In this case, my x is going to be 0, so I put 0 in because I want to find the slope. This is my point of tangency, so I want to find the slope there. So this is what we've got. And then that's just going to be negative 1 over 1, which is just negative 1, so that's my slope, my tangent line. So I have y minus y1 equals m. Okay. Times x minus x1. And then this just implies that y equals, if I put this on the other side, I've got negative x, and 0 is just negative x. Put this on the other side, becomes plus pi over 2. That's y, and that's actually my linearization. Which I should have wrote that down. I don't know why I didn't. That actually is L of x. and that equals negative x plus pi over 2. So that's your L of x. So we can say so. L of x equals that. Okay, remember it's just a tangent line. Okay, so there's my L of x. Pardon me, I didn't write that out. Okay, and then letter B, we want to find L of 0.1. In other words, 0 plus 0.1 is just 0.1. So L of 0.1 is negative 0.1 plus pi over 2. So we've got negative 0.1. Remember we did this in a previous problem. If I take pi, which is 3.14159 with a bunch of decimals, and I divide it by 2, I start getting something like this, 1.57079. I carry it out a little bit farther. And if we have this a positive, 1.5 minus 0.1, it ends up being 1.470797. Okay? Okay, so that's what we get when we take the linear approximation at 0.1, we get this. Now remember my error is f of x minus the linearization of x, so that's going to be the arc cosine of 0.1 minus this. So this comes over here, that's the L of 0.1. And then I looked this up in my calculator, you can punch that right in, there's no problem. That becomes 1.4706288906. And then this, so I took the difference. Remember the error is the absolute value of the difference. Okay, so I took the difference and I got 1.674 approximately. Just a bit approximately because I did round it off a little bit. So that'll be approximate. And then that's the same thing as 1.674 over 10 to the fourth. And that's less than 10 over 10 to the fourth, and one of these will cancel with one of those. So that's 1 over 10 to the third, which is 10 to the minus 3. So the error is less than 10 to the negative 3. Okay? So there you go. Hope that helps. And that's all there is to it. Just a tangent line.